Hello and welcome to my fourth NaNoWriMo 2020 check-in. Instead of doing it on Sunday, I figured I'd do it on, the actual last day of NaNoWriMo. I have about 800 words left for today because I'm trying for the 1667 minimally every day this month. But at 5:25 p.m. yesterday, I hit that all important in terms of NaNoWriMo 50,000 words. I know that 50,000 is a walk in the park for some people, and I know for others it's a lifetime achievement. And we all have our own pace and our own natural rhythm of things. And, sometimes our wrists hurt. so, but for me, I find that NaNoWriMo is an achievable stretch as long as I never miss a day. And if I can't rearrange my life around NaNoWriMo, I don't commit to it. I've been doing NaNoWriMo since 2013, and this is my sixth win. I rebelled one year, and another year I separated from my ex, started a new job, moved, attended another convention, and hosted a Thanksgiving for 14. So I bowed out that year. so I'm very excited. I hit that 50,000 words, but the first 10K at least is just world building and character development and kind of pre-story stuff. So this is probably the messiest draft I have ever done. Probably because it's a lot of world building. My first world that I created was the third attempt at writing that story. So I had a lot going into it. And my other fantasy that I've written, one was in a pseudo Robin Hood-esque historical, and one was in a pseudo contemporary with magical reading powers. So this one had a lot more world building. It was a fantasy in space. And so there was a lot more questions and stuff I didn't have answered when I went into it, despite trying to do a fair amount of prep, more than I typically do. So yeah. I do love the voice of this story, and I do love certain scenes and parts that I know are going to be kept. But the story itself is not well paced. It's got lots of repetitive sections, which when you're doing NaNoWriMo can happen. For me, I find that when I write, sometimes I end up saying the same thing 10 times. But of those 10 times, when I go back and edit, one of them is going to be exactly what I want. And that gives me the ability to pick and choose the best way to say it rather than trying to fix what was already there. So that's always fun. Hello, Doc. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. I am the queen of overcommitment. So I think nobody's too surprised at that. So this story is not even remotely done. I still need to figure out what happily for now ever after looks like for this character. And I've been fighting with myself on 3 different versions. Is that because one fits thematically and one fits better for the character? Or is it because I haven't come up with a real ending yet? I don't know. Endings are hard for me. Endings are really challenging. And so sometimes what I think is a good idea ends up not following the true emotional core of the story. And so I have to edit and revise and until I find something that works for the character, the world, and the story. And so this one's probably going to be about like that. Maybe I'll write all 3 endings and see how that goes. We'll just have to wait and see. But I imagine with all of the excess words and stuff that this is probably about 2 to 3 months of writing out from being done. So I'm probably going to be looking into starting back at it in January, unless I get a wild hair during December. But because NaNoWriMo is so time consuming for me personally, I usually take December off from writing. I keep up with the blog, I keep up with the vlog, but I step back on my writing because everybody needs a break. Everybody needs a break. So if you've been doing NaNoWriMo, let me know in the comments and tell me how it's been going for you. If you like what you've written, if you like your voice, if you like the characters, or if you think the whole thing is trash. Usually there's some element that works, even if it's not all of them together. And so I think that no matter where you started off November and where you ended up, it usually makes us look at our writing and our habits and reevaluate them and try to figure out what works better for our lives. And I think that's a good thing. I think regular reassessment is useful. And what used to work for your writing last time doesn't have to work for it every time. So am I excited that I won NaNoWriMo for whatever winning means? Yeah, I'm really proud. I'm really excited, and I'm glad that I won. But it's kind of a bittersweet ending because my story's far from done, and that's even the rough draft, much less getting it into a polished state. But I'm enjoying the main character and the story and the world, and so I'm really excited and interested into seeing what comes out of this whole venture. So I see I have Doc in the comments who agrees that happily enough ever after is definitely what I'm going for. I like the hint of things might happen. You know, this status quo isn't going to always be the status quo. And Doc is at 29,424 words after sprinting and is going to try and hit another 600 before bed. You, my friend, if you push hard, I really think you can hit that 30K. And for me, 30K is my more natural pace. So, I mean, you still have to work at it. It doesn't just show up. You got to get that butt in seat and make it happen. But that's really good momentum, and I'm really excited for you. So Doc says that the first time he did NaNoWriMo, he won, and it was pretty easily doing 2,000 words a day. I did do a nano and a half once, but that was a sequel in a world that I'd already created with characters I was familiar with and a pretty decent outline that I didn't hate like this time. Of course, I'm doing a fairy tale in space, and I have that things come in threes. There should be trials. There should be, this big scary thing that if you do it just right, you can get the reward and the happiness, or at least the happy for now. So I'm fighting towards that, but my pacing is definitely off from the traditional fairy tale, and I'm pretty sure I can fix that in post. So that's what it's for. Doc says he's never been able to get back to that 2,000 per day rate. And I totally understand. Very often for my writing, when I'm excited and I have the story and I know exactly what I want to happen, it comes out so much faster. But when sometimes the characters change, sometimes the characters want different things, and to ignore them and to keep following the plot that I already had in my head is doing a disservice and typically slows down my writing when I'm writing the wrong thing. And so it's very weird, but this has been very much an exploratory, a discovery writer sort of NaNoWriMo for me, which is a little uncomfortable, but I'm really excited to see what sort of things come out of it. And plus, I have lovely analogies, like comparing gravity to weighted blankets. So it's always fun. It's always fun to see what new and exciting stuff. And I love NaNoWriMo because the rest of the year I typically spend editing, and it gives me a concrete deadline, which deadlines help me a lot, and it gives me a community and a sense of we're all in this together. And so I try to line up my writing with NaNoWriMo, and force myself to take a break from my edits and my querying and all of that, and remember this whole creation part of the process. I enjoy editing when it's going well. I enjoy writing when it's going well, but it doesn't always go well. And so learning to push through that slog can definitely be a challenge for many, many writers. And depending on, how many spoons, how many spell slots you have left for the day is how well it's going to go. And I have to admit, there are some middle bits of my stories that I was phoning in the edits. And so you've got to go back with fresh eyes and really take a look and see what you can do to make it shine. Because even the middle of the book, when, you've already read it 10 times and you know what's happening, needs to shine and sparkle because the reader is coming into it fresh. And every page, you don't want to give them an excuse to put it down. So this NaNoWriMo, I've mostly written between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. My writing sprints have typically been about 90 minutes to 2 hours. Although the one day I gave myself 14 hours. It took me 14 hours and 30 minutes to get through my 1,667 words. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments. So a couple times I found myself starting my words at midnight, but it's honor system, and it was still that day in some time zone, and any words I put in before bedtime went to the day that I woke up in. Although I don't do that on the night of tonight. Tonight I have to be done before midnight, but I only have about 900 words left to go, so I should be able to squeeze that in and make some deviled eggs because I owe my sister's family some deviled eggs. But yeah, so one of the things I've enjoyed doing to get my words out is, besides my live streams and friends' live streams, is to go to my local NaNoWriMo group. Has a Discord channel, and on it is a hashtag war room. And on that is a Sprinto bot where you type the command sprint for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and you join and give your word count. And while you are technically racing, at the end of the sprint, they show everybody who joined and their ranks. What I typically use it for is watching my own pacing. For 15 minutes, if I'm focused, I should be getting about 350 words. For a 20-minute sprint, over 400, usually less than 500, but not always. And one day I got a 700-word sprint in 20 minutes, which I think was my best all month. So being aware of my own pacing is really helpful for me. Although the break is helpful as well, because 15-20 minutes heads down and then chat with people for a minute or two and then heads down and get that next sprint in. So that was really helpful for me. And I think it really made a difference. And I really connected with a lot of my local NaNoWriMo group. And so making that local connection or that online connection can be really helpful and motivating for some of us. I know there are some things in my life where being accountable to myself is helpful, but being accountable to someone else makes me resentful of the thing. So know yourself and know where you are, and join an accountability group if you think you're going to find use out of it. I find for myself, I hate breaking a streak. That's how I became a blogger, because I posted once, twice, and because I didn't want to leave my website empty. And now I post weekly and have for like 5 years, because once I once I've proven to myself I can do it, and I have this streak and it's gone on for more than 5 or 6 times, I feel like I'm letting myself down if I don't do it. And so even if it's a really, really short blog post or vlog post, I always try to get something in, because it's gone from this is something I'm excited about to this is what I do. This is just who I am. It's part of me. And so I don't want to let myself down more so than I don't want to let down those who are watching me or reading me or listening to me. And so I'm really motivated by my own stats, if that makes sense. I like a good spreadsheet. I like it. So I'm going to step away for 2 seconds because my pot pie. Pop any questions you have in the comments. But my pot pie is in the oven and it's done, and I don't want it to burn. Okay, I'm back. I see I have no questions. Let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular this NaNoWriMo or in NaNoWriMo's past that you've struggled with, and besides day jobs eating up time and energy and family obligations, because family obligations and paying the bills and self-care are really important and really need to be prioritized. Although I do let some of the self-care slide a little bit in November. So, well, thank you for joining me. I hope you have been enjoying my live streams and my weekly check-ins, and definitely keep in touch. I'm still going to be online every week, even in December. So good luck with your story, and I hope you can make it shine. Bye-bye.